Even though Europe seems to be considered with wealth and high-quality lifestyles, slums exist throughout this continent. A painful reality is that there are countless people in the world who do not have access to basics such as food, clean water, a power supply, and a safe shelter. Drug use in children. It is documented in Sivina, one of the slums in Slovakia, the rampant use of drug abuse within children. It's a fact that slums and ghettos in some of the part of the third world countries looks as if they are worse off when you compare to slums in Europe. But we think one of the biggest vices in the society is drugs, and most of the ghettos in third world countries does not have this widespread disease of drug abuse, especially within children. Toulene is a chemical which is not actually a drug. Its uses are mostly household for cleaning. But because the adults in svinia have no moral anchor to decide whether they should sell these chemicals to kids or not, knowing very well the intent of buying that chemical, profits and money cloud their judgment. The unknown minority. Gypsies, or Roma as they are still entitled usually, create Europe's largest, poorest, and most unknowable minority. Widespread citizens of the European Union and apparently protected by the world's most advanced human rights regulation, many Roma live in situations that challenge our ideas of Europe, modernism, and diversity. Svinia is an ordinary village situated near the East Slovak city of Prešov. With an area of 1,473 hectares and more than 1,300 residents, it belongs to the bigger rural municipalities in the district. This is the truth for the people living in Svinia in Slovakia. Svinia is a community in eastern Slovakia. Commonly, they are referred to as unprivileged, whereas privileged Svinia is an attractive, typical Slovak village with neat homes, gardens, a store, and a school. The horrific part is the lack of confidentiality. That's how it's imagined around the globe. The most challenging settlements of rural Roma in the whole district. Hygiene issue in Svinia. The first thing that is overlooked when 9 children and parents in a small room is hygiene, and that just opens the door to many health problems, which ultimately hurts the person financially. It has been reported that in Svinia, the rats are so big that literally chew and takes big bites, no babies in the village, and it has caused so many deaths. Visitors are advised to always keep your phones and wallets in check, as the theft issue is also widespread, as people barely get to eat a normal, healthy meal in the ghetto. People here route one pothole following another and deprive children who have nowhere to play but the streets. Life is getting poorer and nastier. It's congested, and people really don't have an opportunity to progress themselves here. There is no escape, people can't get work, which means sufficient money to upgrade their bread earnings and living standards or move somewhere else. The awful and unhygienic living conditions, close to 100% unemployment, and the deep cultural division between poor Svinia and Roma Svinia have created the differences. Svinia has subsequently become scandalous in Europe and has been the focus of studies, books, and films. Global projects to advance life for the Romani in Svinia have been continuous since the 1990s. Their elimination from the conventional society that surrounds them and the societal, physical, and ethnic welfare lacking by its members have led them to be isolated from their adjacent society by physical and social obstacles rooted in local philosophy and enforced by rules and conventions. In most of the movies, books, and contents made and written about the gypsies of Eastern Europe, in the last 10 years or so, they are portrayed as insignificant people who have failed to find recognition in societies with which they have coexisted for hundreds of years. Lavatories, basins, cooktops, furniture, sheets or blankets, consumption utensils for drinking and eating, and windows nearly don't exist. Mostly the children are filthy and inefficiently dressed, if at all. The Romans of Svinia live in dirty shelters made of twigs and mud or in outrageously awful apartment ghettos, built on a weak swampland in the suburbs of the town. The children were rejected in school, banned from jobs, hated by their privileged neighbors, and thrashed and victimized by the police. The Romanis resorted to theft and hunting in the local garbage, dumped to reward their welfare expenditures. Local Roma lacks access to adequate land and its resources. They live in dirty, crowded, and unsafe environments. Their housing is well below the standard of the surrounding society. They are uneducated and unemployed. They suffer disproportionately from ill health and early death, and they are exposed to widespread racism and discrimination that hinder their participation in local community affairs and political life. More than 700 noisy and dirty Sigani, as they are named locally, make their living here, amongst piles of garbage, limited to a gathering of slum-like apartments in which no cultural Slovak would ever live. Sigan or Sigani, the harshest use of this word is in the perspective of more than 500 years of Romani captivity in the zones of modern-day Romania, where the term Sigan became synonymous with slave. Problems of living in slums. The entire concept of remote work goes out of the window if a town has no access to the internet, and the internet isn't something on the bucket list for the people living in Sivina. They lack food, houses, electricity, education, and job opportunities. The new mayor has paved the way for all this to happen, but the speed of change is disputable. Every passing day, children are consumed by drugs, which does permanent brain damage, belongings people are robbed from, and countless other health issues. The gypsies and their atmosphere. Human dung. Discharged objects. People do not seem to recognize litter as a problem. Only water supply for the entire settlement is one narrow spring and a couple of wells. Amount of litter thrown around the settlement. Careless and even damaging behavior, noticeable in adults and children. These people have no awareness of traveling distances and distanced countries like Mexico, Canada, etc. Not even the capital of Slovakia, Bratislava, or having information of distances measured in the hours or days required to reach that certain destination by foot, bus, or ship. The daily life of a women's household in Slovakia slum. A happy woman has a good relationship with her husband, a united family and healthy children. Everybody must have everything they need. A house. He must have everything they need, no shortcomings. If one wants something, he doesn't get it, he is not happy. Slovakian woman, aged 35. The problems of slum women and gender roles in the families are slightly known, and even less has been worked on to resolve them. For 90% of the families, shortcomings are the main reasons. There are families where people fight because of the shortage of food on the table. Women have many children, usually 5 to 6, some reaching the number of 11 to 12. Women can't always witness electricity in their dwellings. There is no heating facility available, even in the frosty winters. The challenging upbringing of their children is another provocative and gut-wrenching tale of these women. If you ask these ladies what they hope for, they respond to it simply. I don't have any hopes for myself other than owning a house, but I want a healthier life for my children. Hence I have a house. I might die, but it will stay with my children.